Hello and welcome back to the channel. We are the Perrin family and today we're showing you a little bit of our day. So I didn't record as soon as we woke up, but I started recording once we got out of the house. At this point we've already done a little bit of homeschool, about half. Each child has done about half. I've had my coffee. They've had a little snack. They don't really eat breakfast per se, but on days that we go walking, they do eat a little bit of a snack before we leave the house. Something healthy that will sustain them until lunchtime. And so we are actually walking on a trail that is close to our home. This is the Tanglefoot Trail in Pontotoc, Mississippi, and it actually runs through the city. I know it looks like a very wooded area, but this actually is through the main roads of our city, and it runs a pretty long ways. I'm not sure exactly how long the trail is, but I know that it runs through other counties in Mississippi. Alright, so I'm catching up to the kids a little bit. We usually walk about 4 times a week. Or I walk about 4 times a week. I don't make them go with me every single time. And we walk about 1.5 miles each time. So now we're walking back. The kids are actually walking that way. They're walking a different way than me. But I wanted to walk this way to show you the beautiful artwork up here. I believe that was done last year. So it didn't look like this before, but last year they hired someone to paint the side of this pavilion, or paint the brick wall, I should say, behind the pavilion. It looks so beautiful. All right. Gonna go up the bridge. Does anybody else get nervous walking on bridges? I hate walking across bridges, no matter how big or how small. But I'm better than I used to be. I used to be scared of a lot of things. So that's what I was talking about. All right. And the kids have turned around and came back. Not sure why. Kids are funny sometimes. I guess they didn't want to walk to the car without their mom. Good kids. They're big enough to do it now. They know now to look both ways and all that. Hey, there's Anthony. Hey. Dulce. Whoa. All right. All right, so now it is lunchtime and the kids are eating their lunch. They're both having some Hawaiian punch, and Anthony is eating some fried eggs, and Dulce is finishing up her taquitos. She actually got hers first because I just had to heat it up in the microwave. Wasn't a big deal. So, all right. And this is what I'm having for lunch. If it looks like a lot, then that's because I do OMAD. So I've got a salad with some tomatoes and radishes and pickles and olives, a little bit of ranch, and some sweet tea, which was sweetened with stevia, some Mexican rice with green onions and a little bit of mushrooms, and a ribeye steak that I cooked yesterday. So I'm eating leftovers, which is the best meal that you could ever have, leftovers. My husband is home for lunch now. He's having his steak and rice. And Speedy came to Speedy came to eat with him. He's one of our 4 cats. All right, so we are starting back on our homeschool, and Dulcie is doing hers. It's so funny. She's a little camera shy. She's not used to being recorded while she's doing homeschool. It's okay. You don't get it. What does it say?
I don't know.
It's 8 twos. 8 times 2.
8 times 2.
So you're going in a pattern. You said 10, 12, 14. If you're counting by twos, you said 10, 12, 14. What comes next?
1, 2, 3.
If you're counting by twos.
5, 6, 7, 8.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14.
14.
No.
Oh, wait,
the
but
last number was 14. What comes next? Stop
2,
being silly.
3, 4. Wait. 16.
Yes. Alright, so go to the right side and it says 8 twos are equal to 16. How do you spell 6? Not like that.
Wait, it doesn't have it.
No. 6. Teen.
There.
There you go.
Okay, now.
So that is 9 twos. 9 times 2.
18?
Yes. So write an 18. Then you have to write the word 18. No, it has an I after the E. You just did that for your spelling. E-I-G-H. Remember? T. Here's spelling the word 8-een. Not 8 tree.
There I go.
Okay. And then that's 10 twos. 10 times 2.
20.
Yes. 10 twos are equal to 20. Write the word 20. Okay. Not okay. 20. Yes. No. It has a Y at the end also.
Oh, wait. Is it like this?
Girl, if you don't stop.
No, why?
You're being extra silly today. Submit answer.
What's the last question?
1 times 3.
1 times 3, that's 3. 3.
That's not the last question. 2 times 3. 6 times 3.
18?
Yes. Seven times 3.
21?
Yes. 8 times 3. So 7 times 3 was 21. So 8 times 3 would be 3 more than that. What's 21 plus 3? Yeah.
I think I have 2 more things left.
Yay, you made a 100.
Yay.
You got 2 more things to do?
Yeah.
2 more subjects?
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
Today's the 7th, so you have...
Bible.
Okay.
Good tidings.
Good tidings. Good news.
Good
tidings.
Synagogue.
Synagogue.
A place to worship God.
Learn how to...
Emmanuel.
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 Sabbath.
Sabbath. I have to remember read a verse.
Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, a virgin will be with child and bear a son. And she will call his name Emmanuel.
You better remember that.
Why do I have to remember it? It's your homeschool.
I can't remember anything.
The name Emmanuel means God with us. You usually call the Son of God by the name Jesus. The story of Jesus being born is written in... You just covered up the screen. I can't finish reading that. The story of Jesus being born is written in the New Testament. In Luke chapter 2, verse 7, you can read the story about his birth. Okay. Luke 2:7 says, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and she wrapped him in cloths and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for him in the inn. No room for them in the inn. I said him. Wow. Okay. God promised that he would send his son, and he did. You would celebrate the birth of God's son on Christmas. But we don't, because we don't really celebrate Christmas. We celebrate Jesus every day.
Believe you in the word and pray. He's there for God, the Bible there.
But you can call me Bo. Do you ever make promises? When you promise to do something, do you keep your promise? Can your friends and your parents count on you to do?
Another promise.
Another promise. God told Isaiah to write more about his son. In Isaiah chapter 61, verse 1, we can read about what Jesus would do after he came to earth. Okay, click on it. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring the good news to the afflicted. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to captives and freedom to prisoners. Jesus lived in a town called Nazareth when he was your age. When he was a man, he returned to Nazareth, his hometown. He went to the synagogue to worship God on the Sabbath. On that day, Jesus read from the book of Isaiah. When Jesus finished reading, he said, I am the one whom Isaiah is talking about. I am the one who will preach good news. Everyone in the synagogue was surprised. They did not know that Jesus was the one whom Isaiah had said God had promised. You know that God kept his word because Jesus did preach good news to his people.
The good news that Jesus preached. The good news is the news about salvation. Jesus told the people that he had come to bring deliverance. This means that he would pay the price for our sins so that we could be forgiven. That is definitely good news.
Good tidings means good news. True. A synagogue is a place to worship God. True. Did God promise to send his son? Yes or no?
Yes.
When
Where in the Old Testament is it written about God's promise to send his son? What book were we reading from?
Luke.
What book in the Old Testament were we reading from? And it said that Jesus also read that. Was it Isaiah or was it Daniel?
Isaiah.
Yes.
I don't remember things.
Did God send his son?
No.
Being silly. Where in the New Testament is it written that God sent his son? Luke chapter what? What did we read?
I don't know.
Luke chapter 2.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Who helped Isaiah write about what Jesus would do?
Over.
No. Yeah. In Isaiah chapter 61:1, it says that God's son will preach good news.
Batter. Shirts on.
When Jesus told the people he was God's son, how did they feel?
They feel
Sad or surprised?
sad.
No. Jesus was in the...
Cave.
No. No. Jerusalem is not correct.
Nazareth.
All
No,
right.
he was in a cave.
Still sing. Alright, good thing you had 3 attempts on that. Because you still got a 100. Alright, we're going to continue doing Dulce's homeschool, but we're not going to record the rest of hers. Okay, so now it's Anthony's turn to finish his homeschool. We've already done half of his homeschool this morning, or a little more than half actually. You have something in your hair. I don't know what you have in your hair, but yeah.
It's science. I don't like science.
So you're doing science.
I just guess and I get it right. I don't know why I just get hundreds.
Historian. Okay, you gotta read the definitions, dude.
Oh, okay.
Historian,
Okay,
an expert in history. Tradition, an idea, story, or belief handed down from parents to children.
Okay.
What does science have to say about the flood? No written account from people who lived at that time in history has been found. Scientists take clues from fossils, rock layers, and other deposits. They use all their skills and understanding to explain these clues. However, their answers vary. Some scientists point to physical evidence which they believe is from the flood. Other scientists do not believe this evidence is from the flood of Noah's time. Many deposits of bones have been located around the world. Many have been on mountainsides. Others were in deep cracks. Deep earth has covered some. Caves are where others have been found. Very large bones, very small bones, and human remains have been found together. Herbivores, carnivores, and birds have been found at the same place. Even shells and fish bones were found among plant and tree remains. The bones have not been chewed, weathered, or burned. Something must have happened to these animals at the same time. It could not have been fire. Disease could not have taken large numbers of such a wide variety of animals. Predators would have left evidence in the bones. Whatever happened must have been strong and long-lasting. It collected and carried huge and tiny animals to their deaths. Could water have caused these deaths? Were some animals going up mountains to get away from a flood? Were others hiding in caves? Were others swept into deep cracks and some covered with dirt brought by water? A huge flood seems to be a reasonable answer. Perhaps oil and coal deposits could give us some clues too. Oil was formed from animals. Coal was formed from plants and trees. Great pressure and time helped form oil and coal. How did we get all the oil and coal that is deposited around the world? Did animals and trees fall into swamps that were later covered by rock? A great flood could have been responsible. The earth was full of huge plants and animals. They could have been swept as groups into great deposits. Then rocks and soil were pushed over the deposits by water. With time, pressure, and the right conditions, oil and coal could have been formed. A lot of reading today.
Oh my god.
Leaf fossils in coal and fish fossils in oil tell an interesting story. Perfect remains have been found. These findings indicate that destruction was quick. Living things did not have time to decay. Change in the earth came fast. What does it say?
Alright.
Okay, you went a little bit too far down. These fossils have been found in coal and oil deposits around the world. Some scientists say that water covering the whole earth is the best explanation for these amazing discoveries. All right, other oral or written records. Another type of physical evidence that exists about the flood is found in the oral or written records of various cultures throughout the world. Historians have studied these traditions around the world. They have found that many of the tribes and nations of the world have a flood story. These traditions are not new. They're very old. These stories were usually passed down from the ancient times by word of mouth. The Native Americans believed in a great flood. The Chinese had a flood tradition. There were Siberian and Australian flood stories. Many of these groups do not know of the Bible. However, they all agreed on some points. They believed that the whole earth was covered by a great flood. A boat saved some people, and some people lived through the flood. Oh, wow. Where did all these traditions get started? Could all the tribes be telling about the same flood? Do other stories about a great flood support the Bible record? Many people believe that all the stories are really about the same great flood, the flood as recorded truly in the Bible. These traditions and stories provide further evidence for the Bible record of the flood. That's actually interesting that so many people from different cultures that don't even share the same religious beliefs actually believe that the flood happened.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's a lot of evidence that the flood in Noah's time actually was true. We know it's true because the Bible says it.
Now we're in the questions. So
Scientists vary in their beliefs about the flood. True.
True. Okay. Some large deposits of bones have been found in the mountains. True or false?
Yeah, I was talking about the animals were running up the mountains and stuff.
That's true. Most of the bones found in large groups have been chewed. True or false? False, I would say. I mean, that sounds weird.
I don't remember hearing about that, honestly.
Okay. Disease killed all the animals. I knew we were talking about disease, but I don't know.
No, it was asking, if disease was a possible theory. They were talking about the different theories rather than there having been a flood.
Oil was formed from trees. That could have been true.
Wasn't it from animals?
I don't remember.
I believe it said from animals.
I'm just gonna guess.
I believe that that's false. And it was false. Select if the statement is true or false. Oil is mostly found in Iran. What? Did we even talk about Iran?
We never talked about Iran, did we?
Coal was formed by pressure and fire.
I don't know. Maybe false. I would say false. Okay, I'm
Good job. Large amounts of water could shift soil around.
Why would we just getting true and false?
I don't know. You always get a lot of true
The
or false.
10th question? Okay, yeah, I was actually...
Complete this sentence. Another type of blank evidence that exists physical or... I would say physical evidence.
Physical?
It's not chemical and it's not fossil,
We got 3
obviously.
attempts on this one, though. Okay, there we go.
Alright. Many tribes and nations have a version of what story?
The flood.
Flood.
Okay, so let's mark lesson as complete. Let's see this.
So
Let's see our
you got
grade.
a 90.
A 90. Yeah, we got
Yes,
a 90.
you got a 90.
Alright, we got a 90 out of 100, so that's good. Okay, we got one more thing.
Alright, since we're reading a lot of the actual lessons from our homeschool, I just want to put a disclaimer out that this content belongs to Monarch. It is with Alpha Omega Publications, I believe. Alpha Omega Publications, and the program that we use is Monarch. And I highly suggest this program. Alright.
Jonathan Swift.
This is from Gulliver's Travels, Language Arts. Jonathan Swift, 1667 to 1745, is the author of the novel Gulliver's Travels, written in 1735. You may find it interesting to know that when the book was first published, Swift did not put his name on the book. Why not? We both had the same reaction.
What are you talking about, man?
So he didn't put it like he was the author. He didn't put his information out there. Why not? Although the stories in Gulliver's Travels make fascinating reading as adventure and fantasy, that was not their original purpose. Swift's readers recognized that the book really exaggerated and made criticisms of people and events in the governments of England and Ireland. It acted much like today's political cartoons in newspapers and news magazines. Swift was concerned that he would get into trouble with the government since England did not have the same ideas of freedom of speech as we have today. In future years, you may study this classic book as political satire, but for this lesson, you'll just read it for the enjoyment. So, in this excerpt from Gulliver's Travels, Lemuel Gulliver leaves England to become a ship's doctor. However, on one voyage, Gulliver is shipwrecked in the South Seas. Everyone is lost but Gulliver, who swims to an unknown shore. You will read about how Gulliver awoke to find himself in a strange land. Try to imagine that you are Gulliver. Try to imagine each thing. He scrolled down, so I was just guessing what it said, but it says try to imagine each thing that happens to Gulliver as you read the story.
I must have been sleeping for 9 hours when I awoke. For 9 hours.
Okay, maybe just put the computer to read it for us.
Wait, should we put it like so close? I feel like it's too close to like the
Dulce's was a while ago.
Oh, okay, you fixed it?
It was fine.
Oh, really? Okay. No, I was just thinking like it was too close to the camera. Maybe like it was too loud. Okay, let's see this.
I must have been sleeping for 9 hours. When I awoke, it was daylight and I was laying on very short, soft grass. I tried to get up but could not. My arms and legs were tied to the ground. My long, thick hair was also tied down. I was unable to move, and I could only look up. The hot, bright sun began to hurt my eyes. Then I heard some noise around me but could not see anything other than sky. Suddenly, I felt something alive on my left leg. It climbed gently over my chest and up to my chin.
Very descriptive.
I turned my eyes down to see what it could be. To my amazement, I perceived it to be a human creature, not quite 6 inches tall. In his hand he carried a bow and arrow. Meanwhile, I could feel many more following the first one, about 40 of them, I later learned. I was so astonished, I roared loudly, and they all retreated in fear. Later, I was told some of them got hurt when they jumped to the ground. Soon the little creatures returned, and one ventured all the way up to see my face. In great admiration he lifted up his hands and cried in a shrill voice, "Hekimadegel." The others repeated the same strange words. As you can imagine, I was very uneasy and finally struggled to get loose. I wrenched out the pegs that held my left arm to the ground. With a hard pull, I also loosened the strings that tied my hair down on the left side, but it hurt me terribly. Now I was able to move my head about 2 inches. Before I could seize them, the little people ran off shouting. Then one of them cried, "Talgophonic." And instantly 100 arrows struck my left hand like needles. More arrows fell on my body, but I did not feel them. Some struck my face, which I quickly covered with my left hand. I groaned in grief and pain. I tried to get loose again, but they shot more needle arrows than before. Some of the little men tried to stick me in the side with spears. Luckily, my thick leather jackets protected me. I decided to lie still until dark and then free myself. If all the inhabitants of this place were the same size, I would be an easy match for even their greatest armies. When the people saw I was quiet, they shot no more arrows. I could hear their numbers increasing and also a knocking noise. I turned my...
Alright, so just for the simple fact that we don't want to make this a really, really long video, I'm going to go ahead and cut the video off here, and Anthony is going to continue doing his homeschool. It'll probably take him another 30 minutes at least to get done, so then we'll show you some more of our day. Alright, so I decided to make a little Dollar Tree Family Dollar run, and so once we get inside, then I'll try to show a little bit of what we have in our local store if I'm able to.